Lead in, one, two. Welcome to the Starting Over podcast training series. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos. And this time in the training series, we're going to be looking at Smoke Cloud. Smoke Cloud is an interesting power that really is overlooked, mainly because it offers no direct damage option most of the time. And on top of that, many times people will look at Smoke Cloud and say, I could have this figure attack or put down Smoke Cloud. I'd rather have this figure attack. And so this is the pretty much the prevailing wisdom that we have going on into the game. So what I want us to do this time is I want us to just take a very deep look at Smoke Cloud. And I think that we will be, more than surprised about, what type of options that we have with Smoke Cloud. All right, so let's get into it. Smoke Cloud. Give this character a power action. Place up to 4 hindering terrain markers in distinct adjacent squares that are within this character's range. Minimum range value 1. At least one of the terrain markers must be within line of fire when it is placed. The terrain markers remain until the beginning of your turn. Okay? Now, let me get some clarification here for you. You can place smoke cloud. You can place smoke cloud tokens or hindering terrain tokens around a corner that you don't have line of sight to, but let's say your range value is 4. Your smoke cloud tokens can't exceed 4 squares from your character. They can twist and bend around a corner all you like, but they cannot exceed more than 4 squares away from you, from the character that's generating it. Okay, so that's if the range value is 4. If the range value is 12, boom, 12 it is. If the range value is 2, 2 it is. Okay? So just keep that in mind as I talk. Smoke Cloud's biggest advantage is that it is a support power that most people don't feel it's worth generating a action for. And the main reason that most people do not feel that it's worth generating an action for is that it only, in most people's opinions, gives you a soft defense. Okay? And by soft defense, what I mean is this. You can give one of your figures +1 from a ranged attack, or make it so that your opponent, with their grounded figure, has to, have their movement cut in half coming off of Smoke Cloud. You also could say that Smoke Cloud can mess with a figure to stop it from being able to charge you if you place the Smoke Cloud properly. But and giving your figure stealth if they're on top of it. But that's really mostly it, unfortunately, in the average player's mind. When we look at Smoke Cloud, when we compare it to something like Barrier completely shuts off line of fire from your opponent. And there's nothing that they can do except bust down those barrier pieces. So Barrier can absorb an action from your opponent and cause them to waste damage on another piece of terrain. Whereas Smoke Cloud, that's really not the case. So let's really go into it a little bit deeper. Smoke Cloud's number one advantage is what? We can generate hindering terrain. The next thing that we can say is, yes, I get that +1 to a range, but what else do I really get from it? Well, this is when we start to analyze what characters and what team abilities or what effects, or in rare cases feats, benefit from me being on hindering terrain. And this is where I would say you have to start analyzing smoke cloud as I'm doing this so that my team gets plus this, this, and this. Or I am doing this so that my opponent cannot do this, this, and this. Okay, so ask yourself, which would you rather have? A Batman team that has smoke cloud or a Batman team that doesn't have smoke cloud? Now you would say, well, it depends on the Batman team, Dark Logos. That's a weird question. Okay. If we look at a Batman team that has smoke cloud, pretty much is guaranteed that more turns than not, Batman is going to be in stealth. Okay? A Batman team without smoke cloud, we are now dependent upon the map, which our opponent can pick a map with no hindering terrain. So where does that put us? Or we can be on a situation where we're trying to leapfrog from one patch of hindering terrain to another patch of hindering terrain, and voila. We sort of look at it, it's like the only thing that's in between those two patches of hindering terrain is a object, and the opposing team has charge and super strength. That doesn't bode well for us because now our opponent can charge in, yank that object, and hit us with it. And we are no longer stealth, and plus we've taken a good chunk more damage. So we can see that really Batman or a stealth-based team really does benefit from having smoke cloud. But the average player isn't going to think like that. So this is, again, one of the main reasons why we have the training series. Another thing that we can look at is by putting down smoke cloud, we can, provide this defensive barrier. Now, we mainly say like, okay, giving +1 against range, but also look at a situation if you have a grounded charged figure and they're coming in, you can drop smoke cloud and that can tie them up. Or you can create a sort of a smoke barrier around your people so that if your opponent comes to try to come in and do a melee attack or tries to do a ranged attack, the melee attack is going to be hindered if that melee attacker can't fly, and that ranged attack you're going to get +1, and it'll allow you to heal or retreat or whatever you need to do by using smoke cloud. Now, smoke cloud's advantage over barrier is it can't be destroyed. You can't destroy the smoke cloud. So, boom, once it's put down, that's it, buddy. Okay, the next thing is, if you still have, let's say you have an effect that is really hurting your opponent as long as you have line of sight, smoke cloud helps you more than barrier because at least you'll get +1 defense. And you can still have line of fire to your opponent. Whereas your opponent with barrier, it's like, woohoo, the magic evil eye is no longer looking at me. I can go do that one thing that he doesn't want me to do or she doesn't want me to do. Then we can come back and say like, oh man, yeah, barrier stopped my opponent from shooting me, but because I didn't have the evil eye effect on them, they're now able to heal, or they're now able to, on their next attack get +3 damage or something like that. Okay? So that's the big thing. Smoke cloud, I can still, if I still need to see my opponent, and I need a defensive option, but I still need to see my opponent, then smoke cloud is a better option than barrier. Okay, so this is the things that we're weighing. We're weighing nuance. We're looking at, is my opponent mainly grounded? Smoke cloud can tie them up. I can really slow down my opponent's tempo. Is my opponent's team mainly ranged? Okay, I got smoke cloud. It's going to make it harder for them to hit. Do I have stealth? They're not going to be able to target me. So there are multiple elements that we can stack onto this, let alone any, weird shenanigans where my smoke cloud gives, poison. My smoke cloud, heals every figure in it for 1. Whatever special power, minus all that. Just put that out to the side. But the biggest thing is smoke cloud allows us to create hindering terrain on the map to our advantage, regardless what is on the map. And that is the number one thing that you need to remember when using Smoke Cloud. All right, that's pretty much it. And I hope that this is beneficial. Now, you might be saying, okay, Dark Logos, what is our training regimen? You know, and more importantly, what figures do we pick? What I want you to do is just pick any figure with Smoke Cloud that has 4 or more range. Just pick any figure with Smoke Cloud that has 4 or more range, and I just want you to practice going against the standard balance team. Build a 300-point team that just works around Smoke Cloud of the use of Smoke Cloud. You don't necessarily have to have double Smoke Cloud, so you can have perma Smoke Cloud, but if you want to, you can. Okay. But I want you to go against an opposing team that has a ranged combat attacker, a melee attacker, preferably grounded melee attacker, just so the lesson can sink in, and some form of support figure, whether that's probability control, perplex, some weird effect, whatever. But I want you to have a team that you're going to design that benefits around Smoke Cloud against that balanced team. Okay, and that's pretty much it. It's very straightforward, because the nuance that you're going to see in Smoke Cloud is, how can I obstruct my opponent? How can I help my team? When do I need to obstruct my opponent? When do I need to help my team? So it's that give and flow that can come from Smoke Cloud that becomes really beneficial. All right, that's it, and I look forward to talking to you in the next episode.